Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Lane, and I'm going to be pitching for my game Rhythmatic. It's eventually going to be a hack and slash rhythm game. And how does rhythm game go with hack and slash? Well, let's first of all take a look at what I'm thinking. So, because I want my game Rhythmatic to be available to as many people as possible, I want it to be sold on iOS systems. Basically, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you're going to be able to purchase and play this game. So what is a mobile hack and slash rhythm game going to look like? It's going to look like a traditional rhythm game plus the additional visual effects, visual elements, and interactions from action adventure games. Alright, so let's take a look at what traditional mobile rhythm games look like. When I mention the word mobile rhythm games, you might think of Osu or Citus 2, which recently just came out. These are basically the traditional pop the bubble type of rhythm games. Basically, you're trying to match the perfect timing to pop a bubble in order to get the perfect score. And there's usually a percentage up here that shows how accurate you are with a certain soundtrack or a certain song. But then we also have the catching the raindrop type of games, which basically you have a bunch of tracks, like for a certain number of tracks, 4 tracks here in Arcia, and there are a bunch of raindrop-like notes falling towards you from like above, and you're trying to pop or catch those notes when they're on this pink line right here, and you're also trying to get the perfect timing in order to get a high score. This is also the same for Demo, which is purchasable and playable on your iPhone. It's the same thing, and the more accurate you are when catching a note, the higher score you get. Alright, so what's missing in mobile rhythm games that is possibly present in arcade rhythm games? Let's first of all take a look at Sound Voltax. It is a machine in Japan where you have 4 buttons at the center, but you also have 2 knobs on both sides, and you can twist the knobs to follow the track or the beat of a certain note in the song. And it usually requires the player to be standing still in a balanced position in order to achieve a high score. And now let's take a look at My. It's also a big machine that requires the player to be standing still, and it has 8 buttons that you can press. The center screen is touchscreen based, so basically there are certain notes that you want to slide across from one button to another, and you have to go across while wearing gloves, using your hands, either at the same time or at different times if there is more than just one note sliding across the screen. It is the best designed rhythm game of all time, in my opinion, because it is so interactive that the players actually feel like they're defeating a monster or something, although they're actually playing a rhythm game. And we're going to get to our topic just a bit later. Let's then take a look at Chunithm. It's also a machine in Japan, and it's basically an expansion of Demo or Arcia, where you're also trying to catch the falling notes, but then you're putting your hands on this touch screen right here, and they're kind of like the tapping thing on your phone. You have to tap them, and sometimes you have to raise your hand in order for this sensor to know that you're raising your hand for a certain green note or something. It makes you feel like a conductor somehow, even though it's the same thing as Demo. But the space, look at this large space right here, for the entire upper body of the player to move around creates a lot of possibility for the player to be creative with themselves. And then Waka is basically a combination of My and Chunithm. It recently came out last year. It's also a circle, but you're trying to catch the notes not by tapping the buttons, but you're touching the touchscreen on the circle outside of the small inner circle. All these machines are currently in Japan. I don't think there's any in New York, but they run on the same mechanics. You're trying to get the notes at the perfect timing. So what is the missing link between mobile rhythm games and arcade rhythm games? It is the action. When the player is playing on their device, they're merely tapping the buttons with their fingers, usually. But, say if you're playing My or Waka or Sound Voltax or Chunithm in an arcade shop, you're using your entire upper body and sometimes your entire body to keep your best posture to get a high score in the game. This is where we introduce elements from action-adventure games such as Nier Automata and Sekiro. In Nier, you kind of have to find the perfect timing to dodge your enemy's attack by pressing the arrow key twice. And in Sekiro, you kind of have to parry your enemy's attack right before the sword is about to fall on you. Or you can dodge or jump, but you have to find the perfect timing for that. And this virtual effect kind of compensates for the lack of players' own action in real life, because it is impossible to incorporate too much of the player's action into a mobile game, especially when it's a mobile rhythm game. That is why we need the virtual effects inside the game world itself instead of the player's own actions. Let's explain the combat system in Rhythmatic using this picture from Sekiro. In Sekiro, when the enemy is about to attack you, he's going to make a certain posture from which you can predict his next move. In this case, Gen Ichiro is raising his sword upward, and you have a few options that you can make. You can either jump up or dodge or parry, or if you're a daredevil, you can attack him while he's about to attack you, and you're probably going to die. What if we take out these functions? Because you would need either a mouse and keyboard or a controller to fulfill these functions, and those are not ideal things for a mobile rhythm game. So what if we take those things out and replace them with a few buttons that you can tap on with your fingers? Say if Ganichido is about to hit you, and all you need to do is to tap the sword when it's about to fall on you. Or if he's about to do a kick attack, you can deflect his kick simply by tapping his foot to deflect his kick. And say if Ganichiro is in his vulnerable state right now, you can tap his body to do a stab attack to him, or you can draw like X's or slashes with your finger on the screen just to slash your enemy and do a great amount of damage to him. This would turn a game like Sekiro into a perfectly mobile game, because all you need is a touchscreen. You don't need anything like a mouse or a keyboard or a controller, and it's going to be ideal to run on a phone. And the pacing is still the core mechanics to the game. Nowadays, everybody has a phone, right? And a lot of people likes to play rhythm games, and a lot of people likes to play action games. What about we combine those two? Rhythmatic is going to be an action-adventure RPG rhythm game, and it's going to put a lot of focus on one-on-one battles. Each enemy in the game is going to have their own background music, and their attack patterns are going to fit the beats of their own music, and you're trying to match those beats by hitting the correct spot on your screen at the perfect timing in order to deflect their attacks and do a great deal of damage to your enemies to defeat them. And there's also going to be a free roam mechanic in the game for you to explore the game world and to find more hidden enemies and hidden secrets. And if you defeat special enemies, you'll be able to gain some items to aid you to make the game easier for you, or to make it harder if you're the Dark Souls or Sekiro type of player. But yeah, it is going to be an action game that focuses solely on the rhythm, the pacing of your action, and visual effects. Because our game combines action-adventure elements with rhythm games, our game is going to be attractive toward people who are fervent rhythm/action game lovers, and RPG lovers and casual players who desire a more interactive experience, and just in general music lovers who crave a deeper and more interactive connection with good music. Because music and soundtracks are usually not very interactive kind of media, and our game, Rhythmatic, is going to provide a platform for these people to interact with their favorite songs or favorite soundtracks in a more immersive way. And our game is also going to be very attractive to perfectionist gamers who are always trying to achieve every single achievement a game has to offer and defeat every single boss with 0 damage taken. It's going to be challenging, but we're all going to respect the players' decisions, and we offer such opportunities for these players to explore their full potential. Budget and dates. Our budget is about $4 million on production and development, with another $15,000 on advertisement. In the first 3 months, we're going to focus on music production, designing the combat system, main character, and the enemy's art design and AI design based on their own BGM. In the next 3 months, we're going to focus on developing a coherent story and then completing the art for a coherent world that fits well with the story. In the last 2 months, we're going to design items and adjust the game so it has different difficulty levels that you can choose from, and then we're going to create some DLCs for hidden enemies and soundtracks. The different difficulty levels are going to resemble the levels in rhythm games where you can play on normal, easy, or master. And the enemies are all going to look the same in each difficulty level, but they're going to have a different pattern of attack. For example, if you're playing on the easy mode, the enemies might attack in slower motion, which gives you more chance to react. If you're playing on Master, on the other hand, you're going to have a hard time trying to counter every single attack your enemy have. And if you want to see your favorite enemy's every single movement, it is ideal for you to try to get good and just play the game in its highest difficulty to see what the game has to offer you in its fullest potential. And thank you for your attention.